Let's talk tariffs, the government's way of making foreign goods pricier. Tariffs are one of the oldest tools in the government's economic playbook, and they've been shaping the way we shop for centuries. But how do they actually work, and why do they matter so much in today's global economy? Think of tariffs as a tax on imports designed to make overseas products less competitive compared to American-made ones. When you see a product from another country on a store shelf, there's a good chance a tariff has already nudged its price higher than a similar item made in the US. The idea is to protect domestic industries, giving local businesses a fighting chance against cheaper foreign goods. But here's the catch. The cost usually lands on US companies, and ultimately, you, the consumer. That means everything from your morning coffee to your next car could get pricier. When a tariff is imposed, it's the importer, the American company bringing in the goods, who pays the tax, not the foreign government or manufacturer. This often surprises people who assume tariffs punish other countries directly. Importers then face a choice: absorb the extra cost and shrink their profits, or pass it on to shoppers by raising prices. Most businesses, especially smaller ones, can't afford to take the hit, so higher prices usually trickle down to you. Tariffs can hit not just finished goods, but also raw materials like steel, aluminum, and electronics parts. That means everything from cars to washing machines, even the shelves they sit on, can get more expensive, affecting entire supply chains. It's a domino effect. Government policy triggers higher costs for businesses, which then ripple out to consumers. Before you know it, your grocery bill, your next appliance, or even your home renovation costs more. Used carefully, tariffs can be a precise tool to protect key industries or respond to unfair trade. But wielded broadly or without a clear plan, they can cause economic pain, especially for small businesses and everyday shoppers. The Trump administration made tariffs its signature move, especially against China, arguing it would protect U.S. jobs and fight unfair trade practices. This marked a major shift in U.S. trade policy, sparking debate across the country. But instead of using traditional trade laws, they invoked a powerful, controversial tool, one that gave the president broad authority to impose tariffs quickly, bypassing Congress and traditional checks. This set off billions in new taxes, lawsuits from major companies, and a legal battle now at the Supreme Court. The stakes are high, with the outcome affecting businesses, workers, and shoppers nationwide. And right in the middle, Costco, the bulk buying paradise, where even small price changes can have a big impact on families and businesses stocking up. So, how did we get to this point? Let's take a closer look at the events and decisions that brought tariffs, and their ripple effects, front and center in the American economy. The Trump administration saw tariffs as the fix for everything: trade deficits, struggling industries, you name it. They believed that by raising the cost of foreign goods, American companies would have a better shot at competing, and jobs would come back home. It was a bold, headline-grabbing strategy that promised to shake up the global order. Starting in 2018, they launched a trade war, slapping tariffs on hundreds of billions in Chinese imports, electronics, clothing, furniture, seafood, and more. Suddenly, everyday products Americans relied on were caught in the crossfire, and prices began to rise. The ripple effects were felt in every aisle, from big-box stores to local shops. The justification? National security and rebalancing global trade. Officials argued that America's economic strength was a matter of national defense, and that decades of lopsided trade had left the country vulnerable. But trade wars aren't simple negotiations. China retaliated, sparking a cycle of escalating taxes. Each new round of tariffs brought more uncertainty, as both sides dug in and global markets reacted with volatility. This was a sharp break from decades of free trade policy, throwing global supply chains into chaos. Suddenly, the world's tightly woven network of manufacturing and shipping was unraveling, and companies everywhere felt the shockwaves. Companies scrambled to adapt, moving factories, finding new suppliers, or eating the costs. Some shifted production to other countries, while others tried to pass higher prices on to consumers. The administration's unpredictable tariff-by-tweet approach made planning nearly impossible. With policy changing overnight, businesses were left guessing what would come next. Imagine running a business where a 25% tax could hit your products overnight. For small businesses, the uncertainty was especially brutal. One tweet could mean the difference between profit and loss. The chaos led companies to ask, is any of this even legal? Many wondered how the government could wield such sweeping power over international commerce with the stroke of a pen. The answer hinged on a rarely used emergency law. This law, tucked away in the legal code, gave the president extraordinary authority to act in the name of national security. That's where the legal drama begins. Lawsuits started flying as businesses and trade groups challenged the administration's sweeping actions in court. Businesses weren't just frustrated, they were ready to fight back. For many it was about survival, not just profits. The stakes? Billions of dollars and the rules of global trade. The outcome would shape not just the economy, but the future of how America does business with the world. Let's dig into the law that made it all possible, and see how a national emergency of shopping changed the rules for everyone. How could a president impose massive tariffs solo? Enter the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or IEEPA, a 1977 law meant for real crises, not patio furniture. The Trump administration declared trade with China a national emergency, using IEEPA to bypass Congress and set sweeping tariffs. Critics argued this stretched the law far beyond its intent. IEEPA was for emergencies, not long-term trade policy. Businesses like Costco saw this as a legal overreach. They were paying billions in taxes based on a presidential order, not congressional approval. Their lawsuits argued IEEPA doesn't give the president a blank check to impose tariffs. If tariffs were needed, Congress should have been involved. This legal shortcut triggered a flood of court challenges. What did this tariff strategy really cost the American economy? The answer is staggering, and it's not just a number on a spreadsheet. It's a story of real businesses, real jobs, and real consequences. By late 2025, the US government had collected over $205 billion in tariffs, an amount that actually surpasses the entire GDP of some smaller nations. This wasn't just a windfall for the Treasury, it was a massive transfer of wealth from American importers to the government. Nearly $90 billion of that came from tariffs imposed under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or IEEPA, alone. A law originally designed for national security, now reshaping global trade. This wasn't pocket change, it was a massive tax on American businesses, big and small. From family-run shops to major corporations, everyone felt the squeeze. Importers suddenly faced huge new expenses, squeezing profits and forcing tough choices. Cut jobs, raise prices, or scramble to find new suppliers in a hurry. For many, these decisions weren't theoretical. They played out in boardrooms and break rooms across the country. A 25% tariff on $1 million shipment meant an extra $250,000 owed to the government, instantly erasing margins and upending business plans. For many, that wiped out profits overnight. Some businesses were forced to close their doors, while others struggled to stay afloat. The impact rippled through the economy. Higher costs, higher prices, and less money for growth. Consumers felt it at the checkout, and businesses felt it in their bottom lines. Despite political claims, China wasn't paying these tariffs. American companies were. The burden landed squarely on US businesses and, ultimately, American families. The checks went from importers straight to the US Treasury, with every payment representing a hit to American competitiveness. Tariffs are a tax on domestic consumption, and $200 billion is a lot of pain to spread around. The effects were felt in every corner of the country, from big cities to small towns. That's why so many companies decided to fight back in court, challenging the legality and fairness of these sweeping tariffs. The legal battle was just beginning, with high stakes for the future of American trade policy. The next chapter? How Costco, one of America's largest retailers, got caught in the crossfire of this trade war. Let's zoom in on the warehouse giant and see how these tariffs change the way it does business. Costco's business is simple: buy in bulk, sell cheap, pass savings to members. To do that, they source products globally, including a big chunk from China. About a third of Costco's US products are imported. Chinese goods make up 8% of total sales. When tariffs hit, a huge slice of their inventory got a lot more expensive. The impact? Everything from laptops to patio furniture to bikes suddenly cost more to stock. Costco, as the importer, paid these tariffs directly. Their choice: absorb the cost and shrink profits, or raise prices and risk losing loyal members. The company scrambled to adapt. moving production, negotiating with suppliers. But those changes take time. In the short term, tariffs were a massive, unavoidable expense. The low price promise was under threat. Costco had to decide, protect margins or protect customers. Their answer shaped their next move. The legal fight was about more than money. It was about their business model. Here's how they responded. Faced with soaring costs, Costco had a choice: raise prices or protect its members. Unlike most retailers, Costco chose to absorb tariff costs on key items, like fresh fruit, rather than pass them on. This decision cost millions, but it preserved customer trust and loyalty. They couldn't shield every product, but they held the line on staples. The move showed the real impact of tariffs. The cost didn't disappear, it hit Costco's bottom line. To recover, Costco joined the legal fight, seeking a refund of the tariffs paid. Winning could mean more money for low prices, employee pay, and that famous $1.50 hot dog combo. For Costco, the lawsuit was about keeping their promise to members, and they weren't alone. Costco was just one of thousands of companies suing over the tariffs. From Revlon to Ray-Ban, tire makers to seafood brands, businesses across industries argued the IEEPA tariffs were illegal. Over 3,500 lawsuits piled up, showing the pain was widespread, not just a few angry importers. These weren't political stunts, they were business decisions to recover billions in what they saw as unlawful taxes. The sheer volume of cases sent a clear message: the tariffs hit the entire economy. Costco's lawsuit was the headline, but it was just one part of a massive legal wave. The fight was now in the courts. The legal battle landed in the U.S. Court of International Trade, where companies scored a partial win. The court ruled the administration misused IEEPA, but the tariffs stayed in place while appeals played out, leaving businesses in limbo. Billions hung in the balance, and the Supreme Court took up the case. The big question: can the president use emergency powers to wage a trade war, or does Congress control tariffs? During arguments, justices seemed skeptical of the government's case. A ruling against the tariffs could mean massive refunds for companies like Costco. The outcome will set a precedent for presidential power and economic policy. The stakes couldn't be higher. Why does this matter to you? Because the outcome affects what you pay at Costco and everywhere else. If Costco wins, refunds could help keep prices low, fund better wages, and protect your favorite deals. If they lose, future cost hikes are more likely to hit your wallet. Beyond prices, this case is about who gets to make big economic decisions: one person or Congress. The Supreme Court's ruling will shape trade, prices, and presidential power for years. So next time you grab a rotisserie chicken, remember, there's a high-stakes battle behind the scenes to keep that value possible, and the result matters to us all.